Vacation is very much over because we are going to get busy and we're going to stay busy for a while. These are the stretches where we, as the weather people, don't get to sleep very much because there's just so much going on, so much to keep up with, and so much to talk about. Does that mean you're going to be dealing with inclement weather over the next several days? Let's talk about it in this Thursday edition of the Texas Weather Roundup. Good morning. It's Thursday, the 25th of April, 2024. I'm Texas Storm Chasers Baldyinchief David Ryan, back in the magical super-de-duper office, back in the chair, and just in time because we've got a lot of weather to deal with over the next 5 days at least, if not longer, across not only Texas, but the southern and central plains of the United States. Before we get started, this is going to be a long video. We're going to be covering several days worth, so in the fancy little video thingy-majiggy below, we're going to have chapters marked so you can scroll through the interested time. Something about that made sense. The time you want to talk about or the topic, blah, blah, blah. That's what I'm trying to say pretty much. Even though we're going to be dealing with multiple chances for impactful weather, that doesn't necessarily mean you yourself are going to be dealing with any of it. Some of us, maybe most of us, won't be dealing with it. However, some of your neighbors are not going to be so lucky. Let's just get started. This is going to be for today, tonight, Friday morning. This is the severe weather outlook from the Storm Prediction Center, issued early this morning for mainly this afternoon, tonight, into Friday morning. There is going to be 2 potential rounds of severe thunderstorms. We'll talk about that in a minute. First, let's go over the geographical locations of the severe weather outlook. Scattered severe thunderstorms possible. The eastern half of the Texas Panhandle, West Texas, Northwest Texas, the Permian Basin, the Big Country, the Concho Valley, western North Texas, and Texoma. There is an enhancement to that across portions of northwest Texas and the eastern Texas Panhandle, where several severe storms are possible, mainly late tonight into early Friday morning in the form of a complex of thunderstorms or a supercell cluster. That is expected to form, but we'll talk about that in a minute. First, the initial round, or round 1, possible, of storms. Now, this is going to be a situation like we dealt with last Thursday, where an upper-level storm system, very intense, is going to be arriving, but is probably going to arrive late this evening versus this afternoon, which it looked like a couple days ago, or even up to 2 days ago, it would be this afternoon. The result is we may not see a round 1 this afternoon and early this evening, say 4 to 8 p.m. If storms are able to develop, and that's a big if, we'd likely see only a few of them isolated. All parameters would favor supercells capable of all modes of severe weather. If we had a storm bust through the cap and get going, it would move northeast 35 to 45 miles an hour. Best chance of that, the Panhandle. If a storm gets going, baseball to softball size hail, 65 to 75 mile an hour winds, the potential for a few tornadoes. That would move into the Oklahoma Panhandle, western Oklahoma. If we're able to see storms, I'll talk about why that's a big if and probably leaning towards no. The more likely round of thunderstorms tonight into Friday morning, as the upper level lift finally arrives between, let's just say 7 to 10, maybe 11 p.m., maybe closer to 12, midnight. As it arrives and we see a Pacific cool front interact/merge with the dry line, a broken line of thunderstorms is likely to develop. Given the time of night, you would think the threat of severe weather would be lower. That's going to be negated, yep, that's the word I'm looking for, by the fact, very strong upper-level storm system, impressive thermodynamics. The atmosphere is going to be more unstable at midnight than at 6 p.m. The kinematics, the wind shear, all levels of the atmosphere, very strong and favorable, and we're going to have plenty of moisture. So we may be dealing with another one of these late-night severe weather threats. When those storms get going, the potential for hail, baseball-size hail, even at 1 a.m., yes. Damaging straight line winds, 65 to 75 miles an hour. And given the strong low-level wind shear, even if we're dealing with a line of storms, the potential for a few tornadoes will exist. And we may see embedded supercellular structures, which would heighten the threat for the big hail and the potential for a few tornadoes early Friday morning across places like the Eastern Panhandle, Northwest Texas, the Big Country, maybe as extending into the Concho Valley. Now, let me explain what we have going on. I'm going to use two different weather models here just to show you. This is the North American model. This is the more aggressive weather model in terms of thunderstorm coverage tonight. You can see it fires up a line of storms. Well, first, it does develop a couple supercells, southwest Kansas, Oklahoma Panhandle, northeastern Texas Panhandle. That's where the best chance would be between 4 and 8 p.m. Otherwise, we're going to have to wait for the main round of storms, main line. You can see it develops 11 p.m. to midnight, and then those fly east real quick into West Texas, the Eastern Panhandle, Northwest Texas, the Big Country, the Concho Valley, Texoma, and North Texas by probably 7 a.m. Friday. Notice some of these storms are going to be quite intense, in all likelihood, late tonight, Friday morning, in the regions I just mentioned, with all modes of severe weather possible, even in the middle of the night. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that. I would encourage you all to have a way to receive warnings tonight before you go nighty-night. You can see storms approach Interstate 35 Friday morning. We'll just let this play back out. Probably in a weakening phase. There's some question on that. And then you can see storms again approaching I-35 around 7 to 8 a.m. If we have an organized squall line, it's going to be closer to 5 to 7. If storms are more disorganized, we'll say 6 to 9. Some storms may still be strong to severe as they move across I-35 at Texoma, North Texas, Friday morning, and then would continue into Northeast Texas late tomorrow morning into early tomorrow afternoon, with the potential for re-intensification of some of those storms heading into Friday afternoon across Northeast Texas, and maybe a couple of new storms firing up in North Texas Friday afternoon and a Friday evening, if the morning round is able to exit quick enough to provide enough time to destabilize again east of the dry line. We'll talk about that in the Friday section here in a minute. So that's the North American model. Let's take a look at the high-res rapid refresh model. Notice, it fires up storms, same time tonight, parts of West Texas, not as far south with storms, generally speaking. It brings a nasty cluster of severe storms, all modes of severe weather, nasty severe weather, parts of West Texas, Northwest Texas, the Eastern Panhandle late this evening, early Friday morning, moves it up towards Oklahoma City, southern Oklahoma. It doesn't have too much going on across parts of the Big Country, North Texas. You can see all this would be north of the Red River, generally speaking. A few showers and storms developing Friday morning across North Texas, Central Texas, down the Edwards Plateau. So yes, even at this range, there is questions on just how far south storms are going to develop tonight, and that will have a great impact on who deals with storms overnight into Friday morning. Clearly, someone's going to be dealing with a nasty cluster of storms with embedded supercell structures in the middle of the night into early Friday morning. And again, some of those storms are going to be producing the big hail, damaging winds, probably even a tornado threat at 3 to 4 a.m. Friday. That's just great, isn't it? No, it's not. It's not great at all. So we'll keep an eye on data as we go through this morning. Into this afternoon, we'll have updates for you for sure this afternoon. I'll probably put out at least one video before dinner time. Now, as we take a look at the potential for storms tomorrow afternoon. And by the way, you can see this doesn't develop any storms this afternoon on the dry line. It thinks the upper level forcing is going to be too late. We're going to have to wait until late this evening. So again, a conditional threat for big time issues this afternoon, a more likely issue for significant issues tonight and Friday morning. All right. That fancy chapter thing I talked about. Friday. This is the severe weather outlook from the Storm Prediction Center for, well, Friday. That level 2 risk, scattered severe storms. Again, if that line of storms south of Red River continues, yeah, we could have some strong storms Friday morning towards lunchtime, North Texas, Northeast Texas, gusty winds, hail, and maybe a tornado or two. If we have storms underway still by 2 to 3 p.m. moving into Northeast Texas, we could see some intensification or redevelopment that would allow for the development of larger hail, some damaging winds, maybe a tornado or two. Assuming we have that line move through Friday morning, it's all the way out in the Arklatex by early Friday afternoon. The dry line's going to set up across portions of, well, North Texas, Central Texas, the Edwards Plateau. Tomorrow afternoon, early tomorrow evening, we could see isolated supercell development occur if the atmosphere can destabilize and re-energize itself after the morning storms. If we get morning storms, isn't this forecast fun? Trust me, I'm not thrilled about it either. I'm just trying to explain this in a way that conveys the possibilities here versus trying to give you a clear-cut, concise, guaranteed forecast, because that's not going to happen in this situation. This is one of these days, series of days, where we're going to have the possibility of a couple different scenarios playing out each day. Yeah, I'm thrilled about it. I'm really thrilled. It's great having to deal with this. It's really not, but we're doing our best. So again, tomorrow afternoon, early tomorrow evening, the possibility of a few supercell storms firing up east of the dry line if morning storms move out in time for the atmosphere to stabilize. If so, those storms that redevelop, hail up the size of tennis balls, localized damaging wind gust, maybe a low tornado threat. Those storms, if they fire up, would probably dissipate by 10 to 11 p.m. with the possibility of scattered showers and storms developing across really the eastern half of Texas Friday night into Saturday morning. Those would be in association with warm air advection or strong winds moving in from the Gulf of Mexico above the surface ahead of our next developing storm system, which will be on Saturday, which we'll get to in a minute. Most of that activity tomorrow night into Saturday morning is expected to behave itself. Maybe some small hail, a lot of lightning, gusty winds. Okay, let's talk about Saturday. Well, guess what? More storms. The Storm Prediction Center highlighting the potential for scattered to several severe thunderstorms east of the dry line Saturday afternoon and Saturday evening across northwest Texas, Texoma, North Texas, the Big Country, the eastern Concho Valley, the Edwards Plateau, the Hill Country, and central Texas. The potential for scattered severe thunderstorms capable of producing hail up to the size of baseballs, damaging straight-line winds, the potential for a few tornadoes. Again, this is all also going to depend on the atmosphere's ability to destabilize after any sort of shower or thunderstorm activity Saturday morning. Some data suggests storms may develop pretty early Saturday afternoon. If that happens and storms start firing up by, say, 1 p.m., that would actually help keep the tornado threat on the low side because low-level wind shear would be weak still, versus if we had storms getting going at 4 to 5 p.m., when our low-level wind fields are beginning to respond upwards with an intensifying surface low across the central plains of the United States. So we'll deal with Saturday after we get past today, and we get into at least part of tomorrow, but Saturday looking pretty active in the thunderstorm severe weather department with scattered severe thunderstorms possible. As we go into Saturday night, into Sunday morning, a line of strong to severe thunderstorms expected to move with a Pacific cool front across these same areas. The potential for damaging winds, hail, maybe a couple tornadoes, but we're also going to be dealing with heavy rainfall, especially along the Red River in Texoma. Saturday night, the threat of flooding becomes pretty considerable, equal to, if not perhaps greater than the severe weather threat. And then, for fun and giggles, not really, here's Sunday. Guess what? Scattered severe storms remain possible into Sunday afternoon and night across North Texas, the Arklatex, Central Texas, and East Texas. But we're also going to have scattered to numerous slow-moving thunderstorms producing flooding rainfall, which means, yes, flooding and severe storms. It's a multi-facet weather event. And flooding really could become a problem Saturday night in Texoma, the Red River counties, and then on Sunday across northeast Texas and east Texas, in addition to the potential for severe storms with hail and damaging winds. Very quickly, if that wasn't enough to discuss, guess what? West of the dry line. Because yes, there are hazards on both sides of the dry line. East of the dry line, you got your storms with hail, damaging winds, tornadoes, and flooding. West of the dry line, you've got very dry, acrid air, strong winds, blowing dust, hot, and enhanced wildfire danger. Today, Panhandle, West Texas, mostly west of Interstate 27, west of the dry line, down to the western Permian Basin, the Davis-Guadalupe Mountains, the Trans-Pecos, the Borderland, the Big Bend, very high wildfire danger. Tomorrow, dry lines further east, wildfire danger expands further east into the remainder of the Panhandle, all of West Texas, all the Permian Basin, the Concho Valley, the Big Country, parts of northwest Texas, the Edwards Plateau, and then on Saturday, same thing. And taking a look, well, that's not the right button. I'm trying to hit the button, it just froze. I hate this computer sometimes. Here's just a look at the next several days. Those lines you see, those are isobars, areas of surface pressure. The closer together they get, the windier it is. And then the background, that's your surface dew points. The greens, the blues, humid, lots of moisture. Kind of can see where the dry line sets up on the western periphery of that moisture axis. Back where we have the browns, yellows, whites, it's dry. Where that touches here in Texas, that's your dry line. You can see it's going to be going back and forth all through the weekend, early next week. The blue arrows you see, that's where the wind is going. And yeah, one storm system today, tomorrow, you can see that move across Colorado, Kansas, Nebraska. That goes away. And then on Saturday, we have another area of surface low pressure intensify, setting the stage for another potential significant severe weather event across portions of Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, into Texas. And then after that, Sunday, we still have to deal with heavy rain and thunderstorms. Same thing on Monday, perhaps. Yes, we could still be dealing with the chance for isolated to scattered severe storms here in Texas on Monday. Tuesday, Wednesday, the upper level jet streak finally moves away. We're kind of left in a void. We're not going to have a lot of upper level wind shear, which should allow us to have lower severe thunderstorm chances. But with abundant tropical moisture in place, we may still have scattered pop-up type shower and thunderstorm activity like we'd see in the summer months. And then it looks like we're getting back into the upper-level jet stream next Thursday, which would result in a return of more organized thunderstorm chances as we enter May. Because hip, hip, hooray, no one here wanted sleep. And here's the forecast rain totals today through 7 a.m. Tuesday. You can see why we're talking about the threat of flooding, especially Saturday night, Sunday, and Monday across Texoma, northeast Texas and east Texas, where we could be seeing on a regional average basis 1.5 to 4 inches of rain. But for what it's worth, as we get into Saturday night, Sunday, Monday, the storms we're talking about, especially if they're slow moving, they could drop 3 inches of rain in an hour on a location. So you do that, you end up with multiple storms moving over the same location. That's how we end up with, 3 to 8 inches of rain in a city in the span of 4 hours, and flooding. So some of these areas in East Texas have already had their fill of rain over the last 2 weeks. Soils are saturated, which reduces the amount of rain it now takes to cause new flooding. So in addition to all of the flash flood concerns, street flooding, rapid rises on creeks and streams, notice all that rain expected across Oklahoma and Arkansas, all that water is going to have to flow down somewhere as well. So that's going to increase pressure on our tributaries, our larger rivers, lakes, and watersheds across northeastern Texas as we go into next week. So, yeah, I did say we had a lot to talk about, and yeah, it's going to be busy. But again, that doesn't mean it's going to necessarily be busy for everyone. In fact, it probably won't be. Notice for the western third of the state, we're not talking about rain chances here. We're going to have fire weather issues. It's going to be it's going to be windy the entire state of Texas. I mean, it's late April, almost May. Wind is guaranteed. Blowing dust west of the dry line, all that nonsense. East of the dry line, scattered thunderstorm chances, varying day to day, but continuing probably at least the next week. And of course, Mother Nature will throw surprises in there. Like I said, even though we're talking about storms this afternoon and tonight, we're still not super confident on exactly what's going to happen. And that's just, I mean, sorry, but I mean, it's life. That's pretty much it. Yeah, I traveled across the country yesterday. I'm tired. All right, this video is over 20 minutes. I still have to go write the blog post that goes with this, and I'm already running late. And I still need to get a nap before we have to do severe weather coverage if needed later this afternoon. It probably will be needed tonight unless storms do stay north of the Red River in Oklahoma, in which case, I get to go storm chasing. But we will have chasers out and about today, tomorrow, Saturday, probably Sunday, Monday, which means live storm chasing video on the Texas Storm Chasers YouTube channel, website, and mobile app. And as always, if we have spinny doom issues here in the state of Texas or significant severe weather, we'll have live severe weather coverage, unless one of those spinny dooms happens to try to hit this location, in which case I'm going to go do what people are supposed to do and hide in a closet while probably making obnoxious angry noises. But that's going to happen anyway. That's why there's a giant angry bird on the floor behind me. The giant angry bird shall make an appearance at some point over the next few days, probably. All right, that's it. We'll talk to y'all later. We'll have an update this afternoon on the blog, the app, the website, and here on the Texas Weather Center YouTube channel. And as always, you can get your local weather forecast, interactive weather radars, storm chasing videos, severe weather coverage, and these Texas weather roundups in the Texas Storm Chasers mobile app. Just search for Texas Storm Chasers where you download apps for your device. We'll chat with y'all later. I'm going to go take a nap before drinking additional caffeine and then taking more naps whenever I can take naps. It's nap time. Y'all have a good Thursday. God bless.